Peace. This is your brother Willie Muhammad, and we want to welcome you to another broadcast of I Have a Testimony. And we'll be right back with our guests. Stay tuned. Peace.
God came to us to seek and to save that which was lost. He raised a man from among us.
He, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, laid the foundation. What I'm doing is something that comes from him through me, and the thing that he uses in me to do the work is my faith in him and the word that he taught. To produce men and women who wanted to clean up their life and build an independent nation for the glory of God.
And we're back. Today, brothers and sisters, if you have spent any time on any of the social media platforms, I'm willing to bet if I was a gambling man, which I'm not, but I'm quite sure you have come across some video that features our guest today. He's a social media influencer, content creator, businessman, a member of the Nation of Islam, and he has so much more that I can actually say about our brother. And I'm speaking about our brother Ben X. Show you this video.
Now, Ben got a heck of a program. A lot of people listening to Brother Ben. And Ben tells them about the minister. And Ben tells them about the minister.
And so we're back, and we have our guest. Assalamu alaikum, my brother. You on mute?
Walaikum salam. Can you hear that?
Yeah, man. First and foremost, my brother, we thank you for giving us the opportunity to interview you. And for those who may not know, we actually did I Have a Testimony with our brother the first time. You can see it on our YouTube page, Mos 46 AV, when he came here to the city of New Orleans and delivered a very beautiful lecture. And after that, we sat down and we got opportunity to hear his testimony. And I personally learned some things about our brother that I was not aware of. So today, this interview is going to be a little different, but it's still going to give our brother the opportunity to give his testimony. So I'd like to jump right into the actual interview, Brother Ben. And I want to start with this question. Man, when you think about your early days, right? And when you first came when you first started hearing the teachings of the Most High Elijah Muhammad, and you're watching the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan online, and now you go on to meet him. Now he mentions your name, as that clip just showed, right? Nationally and internationally, then his international addresses. And he speaks very highly of you, as shown in the opening clip. How does that make you feel?
For me, it makes me feel good, appreciated, blacktastic, inspired, because to be in a position to meet the man who I say helped save my life. And when I say save my life, it does not mean that I was robbing, killing anybody, or, doing those type of things in the streets per se, although, I ain't drop out of heaven either. But at the same time, to hear a man who has given me so much guidance for life, he's given me the reality of God. He's given me the knowledge of myself, and to be able to meet him, but not just meet him, but be in a position to help him, and he's aware of it. There's no better feeling, especially when you realize, like, this is the Messiah. So to be known by the Messiah, to be on the mind of the Messiah, to be able to help in some type of way, the Messiah, for me, is just confirmation that I'm living within my purpose. And to hear him just say, I'm just a great helper to his helper, makes me think that, one, being unique, being you is okay. And we should do that. It reminds me that as a lecturer, he said, God didn't make you to be me. If he made you to be me, he would have made you me. He said, you are so unique. Where's your personality? Where's your individuality? So me, when I came into the nation, I'm not a big reader. I like to watch videos. I like to make videos. So to take on the mission in a different type of way than what I was seeing at that time, utilizing social media, utilizing these platforms, and to be acknowledged by him and say, hey, you know, I heard you're doing this for your family through YouTube, become a millionaire. That's like, oh, because I seen the sub tweets, you know, I see people, you know, that was against it. So to hear that confirmation from him that you know, he likes it and he appreciates it, inspired me and let me know that I was doing the right thing.
Praise be to Allah. My next question I want to ask you, because I've been there to personally witness. I was there when he told you about being a millionaire as well. And when he talked about he keep working, that he had a holy name for you, right? Remember that?
Yes, sir.
And so my follow-up question is, you know, to follow and help a man like the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan does not come without its share of difficulty, right? And that difficulty can range from being attacked by his enemies, jealousy, envy, loss of opportunities, and more. So my question to you is, you know, how have you endured such?
For me, it is really studying him. I always tell myself there's nothing you're going to go through that is worse than what he has gone through. I've been in positions where I have over 500 million views on my Facebook account alone. I've had companies reach out to me, and once they found out who I'm with and what I stand on, they couldn't do business with me. For example, there was a company that was black owned per se, and they wanted to reach out and do like some type of deal. You know, I got a large following at that time. My Facebook is getting hundreds, thousands of views almost every post every week. And once we got to the point of like them figuring out more of who I am because I was FOI, they couldn't do business with me and align with that. So I've had to deal with that. But I also have heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan say he had to deal with that. And so I recall a lecture where he said, what Satan makes, Satan can destroy. But you didn't make me. God made me. So I always keep that in my mind whenever I'm not in certain rooms when I know I probably deserve to be. I just say it's Allah's will. And if it's Allah's will, there's nothing they can do to stop it. And if he don't want me to have it, there's nothing they can do to give it to me. So to hear and nurse on the stories of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is what helps me get through all of the trials, because I have people DMing me and my comments, they trolling just, you know, because I'm posting, you know, the minister. I've had people that mock me, say he ain't got no individual thought. All he says, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, hey, but it's been successful for me. But they also said the same about the minister. I've heard the minister in his young days and today. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught me. So I'm expecting it. And I think that's what makes this so much easier, is that I'm already reading in the scripture where this will happen. I dealt with this even in my family. I've had, you know, close people say, well, don't ask me for nothing. Go ask them Farrakhan people. Go ask, you know, the nation. I've had people that never talked about Jesus to me, never talked about God to me. But when I joined the Nation of Islam, now they start inboxing me stuff about Jesus and trying to hint at that I'm doing the wrong thing and things of that nature. So, but in the scripture, it said Jesus didn't come to bring peace. He come to divide the mother-in-law with the with the daughter-in-law, the son-in-law with the father-in-law. It's not that he's purposely trying to get their family to divide, but my student minister, Brother Malik Muhammad from Waxahachie Study Group, teaches us that he's going to bring a certain truth. And when he brings that truth, one side is going to accept it, another side will not. And that is what's going to cause the division. I also read in the scripture, when you pick up your cross and follow him, you're going to be evil spoken of for his name's sake. You're going to be persecuted. You're going to be mocked. And I wasn't persecuted, mocked, nor have I been persecuted for anybody else's name until I started following the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So I started to see it from a different lens. I didn't look at it like, oh man, woe is me, they coming after me. It's like, oh, finally they coming after me. So that's confirmation that I'm probably following the right man. So that's how I deal with it and cope with it whenever, you know, opposition comes.
Beautiful, man, beautiful. And that's right, my brother. And that example of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is so great. And we look at how he gave up music, but he came back to making now putting out his own album again and being on his album with some of the top artists of this time. You know, on your Instagram, on your current Instagram page, you have over 40,000 posts, right? That's a lot of posts. And that's not including your posts on your current Facebook, your YouTube, which you've had to rebuild several times. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
And Twitter pages. I didn't get a chance to look at that. And these other platforms. People often do not realize the amount of work that goes in to record, to edit, to post content, put on these shows like that. And what you're doing during the week, we're going to talk about that later. You know, one could spend hours on a clip that's only meant to be 3 minutes long, editing, right? How do you maintain balance between your online pursuits, your family, your health, and the other aspects of life?
For me, as far as like my work and the mission, I try to marry the two. So for me, I was asked a question one time, Brother Ben, how do we separate the teachings from making money? And I said, I don't. In problem number 13, it says, after learning Islam, which is mathematics is Islam, we must learn how to use it to get some benefit while we live. That is money, good homes, friendship of all, or luxury, money, good homes, friendship of all walks of life. So when I read that, this is just how I see it. It says you must learn how to use it to get some benefit while we live. Well, we know there is no mystery heaven in the sky and the sweet by and by after we die. They say, hey, man, we want some sound on the ground while we still around. And he's given us what we should use. Well, when I think about what is Islam, Islam is mathematics, or Islam means submission to the will of God. We must use our mathematical theology it teaches us. So if I'm looking at this after I have learned to submit my will to do the will of God, it's my submission and my following him that gets me the money. So why do I have to separate it? So for me, I don't separate the mission and my business. Whenever I sell books, the final call goes out with it. A couple months ago, I sent out over 500 final call newspapers because these people came through being a customer from a product that I have. It was at that time I was selling the secret relationship between blacks and Jews and was sending it out all over the world and had over 500 newspapers with it. I have not always been balanced with family. I'm getting there now. In the beginning, I was very, very unbalanced. I crashed at my computer. Always editing. That's where the 40-something thousand posts come from, because I was just always working and working and working. But now I studied the Know Your Role lecture, and I'm not all the way perfect with it. I think I'm a lot better than I was. But the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan gave us a method. He said, if you can try to get your work done within 4 days, then you got 3 days off. You got one for your family. You got one for yourself, or, you know, take the family out to the park. So basically 4 days family, 3 days 4 days work, 3 days for family and yourself. So on Mondays, Fridays, and Sundays, these are days I strive not to do any business work. My wife, she helps me out with that, either by her being mad at me or by her just saying something, forcing me to find that balance, because I am someone who was an only child. And as an only child, I just worked all day long. I didn't go to a lot of parties. People know me for being a gym rat, actually. So I'm the type of person that at South Oak Cliff High School, when they was eating lunch, I was actually in the gym, and I got this documented. It's on one of my older YouTube channels. I would literally be shooting in the gym by myself while everybody else was eating lunch. So I'm always working and working and working. So I have to find that balance. And being that I didn't do a lot of stuff with my family, I got 21 biological brothers and sisters, and I didn't live with any of them. I got 21 biological brothers and sisters. So I would create characters with myself. That's where the skits come from in the beginning. I would be talking to myself. I talk back. That comes from me wanting somebody to play with or be around that was my age, and we didn't. my family, we didn't do a lot of outings. Me and my parents, we didn't do a lot of, let's go to Six Flags and let's do this. I can probably count on my finger how many times something like that has happened. A lot of my adventures in traveling came from me playing basketball. And as a young man, I looked at that, man, this is my career. So I've always been work driven. So I'm finding the balance now to, be with family. And what I've learned is quality time. I may not always, because of all that I have to deal with business wise and just, my responsibilities, be able to do a lot of time. But what I'm learning is the time that I can give, the time that I do have, learn to be more intentional. I'm always on my phone a lot. So that's something I got to work with. So those are some things that I'm finding out to do. I got a personal assistant now that can help me out with a lot of planning, with a lot of stuff on the back end, a lot of people that want to talk to me. I got a lot of meetings I have to have. My personal assistant can help out with that. So on those Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays, I'm minimizing how much time I work. And inshallah, by next year or the year after that, I can have those days completely, strictly for family.
Yeah, man. And I think all of us who are involved in this work end up, if we're really involved in it, we're going to have that struggle for balance. And I've had that as well. And like you said, I'm not perfect at it, but one of the people that really helped me out was Brother Minister Sharif Muhammad, Abdul Sharif Muhammad, the regional minister, student regional minister in the city of Atlanta. When he came here, man, and my wife asked him the question, and he gave some very practical advice similar to what you said. So thank you for that comment. And I hope that others are hearing this as well, because being family is also part of this mission, right? God, family, the nation. And really, God and the nation is one. Family and the nation is one and the same. So we definitely need to give that time. So my other question to you is that, your reach and your influence along as a result of the work that you're doing on social media and even off social media, because you just don't do your work on social media. I would imagine that you have had discussions with a wide spectrum of people. Like I saw one discussion, looked like you would. I don't know, it was a pool hall, it was somewhere, but you were talking to a brother. The brother was struggling with the understanding about God being a man, right? And I understand that when I used to go out with the Final Call newspaper, brothers like to go in the corners. I used to like to go on Canal Street because I had the opportunity to talk with people. And that leads me to this next question is, how have those interactions and those experiences help you refine your presentation and your approach when you're dealing with people with the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
Beautiful question. I say that the comment section and the people is actually what made me a better Muslim. Because when I first came into the Nation of Islam, I didn't know nothing about the Moor Science Temple. I wasn't going deep into the children of Israel and things of that nature. But it was through them asking certain questions, and I'm saying, let me go research what a minister talked about that. So I studied the behavior of the people and what the people were saying to make me, like you say, a better presenter. It made it easy for me to dialogue. I now understand, what type of information to give and what information not to give, because I done made so many posts and I've had so many conversations. I know what will cause someone to reject it. Now, I don't like that. He didn't, the way I said it, I may have been telling the truth, but he didn't respond well. So by interacting with the people, it has allowed me to know how to have patience with them. It has given me insight when somebody's asking a question, but they really trolling. So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, I don't just listen to the question. I'm looking at the motive of the question. So for me, being online, seeing what people are going through, reading the comment section on other people's pages about what people are saying has allowed me to properly present the teachings in the right way. So in our lessons, it talks about we wrote history 25,000 years in advance. How? By studying the thoughts of the people. Well, on Facebook, it says, what is on your mind? So I would go study Facebook posts and see what people are going through. What posts that they follow up with, and I will post certain lectures of the minister, and some people would say, man, this was right on time, and I would say, yeah, I know, because I saw what you posted about on Instagram. I saw what you posted about on Facebook. So my interactions have made it have pretty much reformed how I present the teachings, how I present the minister. Some people I know, for example, if they speak in a certain language, they may be one of those who follow the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but I ain't rocking with the minister. There's people like that out there. So I know, okay, I can't just give him what the minister said. If I'm trying to get him, if I'm trying to get him to understand something, and he's telling me I don't follow the minister, why am I saying, well, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan? No, I'm finna hit you. Well, here's what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said this. What do you think about this? Well, I agree with that. Well, let me show you what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said the same thing. Now let's deal with that. Now I got him. So it just those type of things. I didn't go study in school and these type of things, but studying the behavior of the people and the responses. I've been in so many conversations, thousands of them, is giving me insight on how to deal with our people and try to get the best reward. And the best reward or the best result is not me winning the debate. Got him. He couldn't prove me wrong. It's getting a brother to say, you know what? I understand now. I'm rocking with y'all now. Things of that nature.
Beautiful. And that's one of the beautiful things about what we should all be doing. How should we perfect that? And even the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan does the same. You know, one of the observations that I've made while watching you and knowing you that over the years is that you set goals, right? I've seen you post videos about stuff, post quotes and stuff from the minister. And you are often working to accomplish something and to be efficient and effective. And from my personal experience when I realized is that when one embarks on such endeavors, trying to accomplish goals, we don't always accomplish our goals. And oftentimes we're going to run into this thing called disappointment, right? So my question to you is, how do you and how have you handled those moments of disappointment that you ran into while you were trying to pursue your goal?
I was doing a power call one of these mornings, and we was going over the difference between try and striving. And striving is putting effort towards something, and really it's about your persistence until you get it. Try is more so, I attempted it, I didn't get it, man, I tried. Striving is, I attempted it, I'm tempted until I get it. So I haven't really had any disappointments because majority of my goals, if not all, I have accomplished. And a lot of the goals sometimes I'll put out there on Facebook purposely because I want to, one, that's how I hold myself accountable. I have my life, I say, is just an inspiration. The reason I share when I was living in one room with the family, the reason I share my cars broke down on the highway is because I kind of look at life like a game. It's almost like, man, if I can show them that I can overcome this, man, you can too. You know, it's like if I'm going through adversity, I think about movies. It's like in a movie, if the movie was just he grew up in school, he went to a private school, he got all straight A's, he never got in a fight, he never failed at anything, lived heavily out. That's not no interesting movie. We want to see somewhere there's some failures. There's some, oh man, he didn't know that was coming. How did he overcome that? Then he thought he was about to make it again. Oops, something else happened. Like those are the movies that we find most relatable. Those are the movies that we find most intriguing when there's an antagonist, when there's a problem that somebody got to solve. So when something happens where I may not meet a goal or something like that, I just say, maybe it wasn't in God's will for me to have it right now, but it doesn't mean that I won't meet that goal. There's certain financial goals that I look back to that I had in 2017. I made those monthly goals in a week. Some of the goals that I wanted to make once I started to get more in contact, like, man, I got to reach this goal. I thought that was high. Now I make that passively, even if I don't do anything. So it's like when I put something out there, I'll forget sometimes that I even have the goal. I'll forget that I even said it. Then when I go back, I've already accomplished it. And I think it's because when I'm coming up with the goal, I'm coming up with the strategic system or way that I'm going to go about doing it. And I fall in love with the process versus the goal. And if we just focus more on the process and I focus more on what actions need to be taken to get the goal is going to be accomplished as a byproduct. So if I don't accomplish something, I always look at, where is God in it? What is the lesson he wants me to get? Because if God, there's a lecture called God's Timing. And he says, when you have a goal and it's in line with the will of God, there's no force, no power that can stop you from getting it. So if there's anything that I don't accomplish, it just means maybe this is not in line with the will of God. Let me check the goal. Let me check the motive of the goal. But oftentimes I'm accomplishing the goal and I'm just attributing that to God's timing. If I have the right, I always think about it like this. If I'm on the side of God, I can't lose. There is no not accomplishing when you're on the side of God. You're going to get nothing but success. But the minister says some of us don't even have a goal that we're striving for. We're not even striving for anything. There's a quote I want to read real quick. The minister said this. I was listening to a lecture yesterday. The minister said, the first thing Master Father Muhammad promised us on condition that we submit is money, good home, and a friendship on all walks of life. And the messenger is not a liar, or you don't believe that Master Father Muhammad is really God. Put him to the test. So I just put him to the test. And if we believe he is who he is, and we believe that if we follow his way, his wisdom, that we'll accomplish it, there's no reason for any of us not to be successful. And if we're not successful, times I may not have been successful, I look at where was I wrong at, what did not do, what did not follow, what did not submit to, because I know if I just submit to his way, he done already promised it for us.
Beautiful, man. And that is a way. Another large part of being successful is the mindset that we have, and that's one of the things. You see successful people, they have that mindset. And in addition, like you said, there's a plan and there's a format by which they pursue stuff. So thank you for sharing that. And I want to ask you this question. Because of your popularity and your influence on social media, you have found yourself the target of some of these so-called media stars or talking heads, right? And I won't say any of their names, but my question is to you, what have you learned from those experiences?
What I've learned is documentation beats conversation. Simple as that. When you're, I heard a quote, forgot who I got it from, but it says, when you're wrong, you can't be strong, but when you're right, you can fight. And so I know if I ain't did nothing wrong, I stay in my lane. I keep the minister out front and my foundation. You can say what you want to say about me, but if you ever was willing to get on a Zoom call with me and get to the root of what you're talking about on social media, you'll find that you're probably incorrect of what you're talking about. So I've had people that purposely have made videos about me, and I've had people that have unknowingly, because they thought they was doing the right thing, but they just didn't have the information. But then what I found is, what I've learned as well is, some people are just doing this for views. There's a brother name I won't name. He said something about something I was a part of, and I called him because, I ain't got nothing I'm running from. There are several students that bear witness that said, no, not this one, not him. And I got several receipts, so I keep receipts, I keep screenshots, all that. When I got on the phone call with him and he started to learn the reality of the difference between what he thought was happening, he acted like he had a call and didn't even read the screenshot that I sent him because it's still on delivery. He didn't read it. So what I'm finding out is, when people see negativity, they want all the details of the negativity. But if they find out that, hey, maybe there's no negativity here, there's a misunderstanding, there's no let's go into those details. There's no, hey, let me spend more time in learning what actually happened. It's only if I know that something bad did happen that I want to, go out and, say those type of things. So that's just what people got to do for views. And Allah, I just feel like Allah will deal with them. You just keep doing the right thing that you're supposed to be doing. And at the end of the day, testimonials and documentation is what will protect you. I think about building and destroying. I made a video about this the other day. Whenever you're building something, you're also destroying something as well. And so what I learned is not to always give them your time, not to give them all your energy. Now, sometimes, you know, if I have to, I'll do it just to show anybody that, dang, he ain't say nothing about that. You know, I'll say something just to prove, like, I ain't running from nothing. If y'all want to hop on the Zoom and prove it, come on, let's do that. But if we just focus on building, that would destroy the lies. If we just focus on the testimonials and all the people that you have helped, that would destroy the thought process of maybe this person is not helping anybody or he's not effective. So just learning how to pick my battles and stay focused, because some people purposely say things to get under your skin. I've had people literally say, I only said that to see how you will respond. So yeah, everybody don't have, you know, goals. Everybody don't have lives. And what I also got to, what we also got to remember, some of these people may be teenagers that's literally doing this on purpose behind fake accounts. Like, this is how they, you know, can enjoy their day. This is how they joke. The same way I used to go out there and throw eggs at people's car on one-way streets, I was bad. That's just their form of being bad. So the same way we throw rocks at cars back in the day, I was a little bad. But this is their way of being bad. So I can't, you know, I can't blame them for trolling. You know, sometimes I be wanting to troll, honestly. So shoot, it seemed fun sometimes. So I just learned that, man, just stay focused and seek refuge in Allah, man. And at the end of the day, if you really impacting people, they'll speak up for you. I look at the minister, how many people done came at the minister? That's what I always go back to. How many people done came at the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and was completely wrong? I seen a sister during when the minister, I think, was speaking again about Paul Robeson. There was a sister that stood up and said, I'm sorry. And she was crying. She said, I'm sorry. After all these years, I thought all these bad things about you. And then you did this for my uncle. And she came up, and I just looked at how the minister consoled her and said, it's okay, sister. When truth comes, falsehood vanishes. So looking at his patience and how they ain't talked about me as bad as they talked about the minister. So I say, man, if he can do it and we supposed to be following him, I can do it as well.
Beautiful, man. And the ministers, you know, the minister in his on his 90th anniversary of his birthday, when he spoke, he said for us to pattern our lives after him. And if we do so, we can study how to handle the envy, how to handle the jealousy, and how to handle people whose motives are not right. And your words made me think about there's another thing, and also knowing that balance, right? Because I read something where a guy said you can't get to your destination if on the way you're going to stop and throw a rock at every dog that barks at you. And you made me think about how a brother told me who had the opportunity to sit down with Steve Harvey when Steve Harvey came to Baton Rouge after Hurricane Katrina, because he wanted to do something for the people there. And he was sharing to the brother who was his security how there was another celebrity who had a show, was taking shots at Steve Harvey, and Steve Harvey wanted to respond. And the brother was like, man, you got the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, you can get guidance. So call the minister before you decide to respond. Steve Harvey called the minister, and what Steve Harvey told the brothers at the table, he said about the advice that the minister gave him. He said, brother, the minister told him, you know, nobody is enamored or shocked when they see a dog barking at the moon. That's just what dogs do. They howl at the moon, right? He said, but what will happen if the moon decided to holler back, or growl back at the dog? He said it'll be the talk of the news. And the point that the minister was saying, like, some stuff is just to be ignored, man, because some stuff is really people want attention, and they're envy, they're jealous, or their children are immature, or they're even being sent by the government. So you've been registered for how long?
Since 2015.
So that's what, 8 years, right? So my question I want to ask you, because, you know, when you look at your growth in Islam, right? As I was preparing some of these pictures, I was looking at, dang, Brother Ben, how the suits you had on, the different little things, and seeing you now, just the growth, right? What would you say have been some of the most profound lessons you have learned within your 8 years as it relates to your growth in Islam?
One of the most profound lessons that I've learned, and they all have honestly taken place within the last year, is that the process of atonement to me is the root to real unity.
Mm.
I've had people that I have fallen out with due to misunderstandings. And the three people that have accepted the process of atonement, all of us are finding a way to rebuild that relationship, if not have already rebuilt the relationship. It's difficult. When I was younger, I don't like confrontation. I'm the kind of person that I'll be quiet. If I feel something about you, I'll be quiet. And I'm just to myself because just as an only child, that's just how I always was. I wasn't a real vocal person. Even still now in person, I'm not a vocal person. Many people think because they see me online and I'm funny, but in person, if I don't know you, I'm real quiet and people think man, what's wrong with him? But I'm just really an introvert. I guess that's how I diagnose myself. But having those tough conversations is the real work behind the scenes, to be able to say, but I was wrong. To be able to say, man, let me hear it from your perspective. And then you hear from my perspective. And what I'm finding is, hey, man, it was just really a misunderstanding. You was hurt and I was hurt. Man, this is petty beef. We ain't got to be doing this. Let's come back together. So, and communication, making sure that up front, there is I learned this in counseling, no covert agreements. Agreements that you got in your mind that the other person haven't agreed to. Now the expectations are off and this leading to disappointment. So just listening and hearing the minister talk about don't duck the difficulty, face it. And I bear witness that when you face the difficulty, that's where the ease that's supposed to come after is going to come from. It's not going to come from around you. It's not going to come from running away from it. You got to go to the center of it. And that has been one of my biggest lessons. Face the difficulty. After difficulty does come ease when you face it. And the process of atonement is real. It's not easy now. You know, you're going to have to, rise above emotions into the thinking of God. And another thing that I have grown in, I think one of the many lessons that I learned is, especially when it comes to getting out people, is that you have to have different ways of reaching them. And you have to understand them before trying to fish them in. Some people are going to gravitate to my songs. That's why I make music. Some people are going to gravitate to my videos. That's why I make the videos. Some people are going to gravitate to the audio. That's why I make the podcast. And so I like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad thought when I heard this, man, everybody's going to understand this when I put these teachings out there. But what I found is everybody don't. And we can't be so quick to condemn them or throw them away, because I've had people who have 2-3 years ago been against it, been against me, came against me. Now in my DM saying, man, I get it now. Man, I understand what you was trying to say. Man, I'm interested in learning more. So different people are going to accept the teachings in different ways. And another thing that I've learned and grown in is you can't allow what people think to shape your own self-image. Because sometimes we can get so caught up in the feedback, the good feedback, that when there's bad feedback or something that's happening or criticism or things of that nature, that you take on this self-image. But only person we're trying to please is Allah. Worship no God but Allah. I've had people that I've looked up to that have I would say I don't want to use the word abandoned, but I've had people that I looked up to that undone some things, and I tried to reach out to them as elders and reconcile it. And one of them did respond. One of them did end up answering, but I had to find out that, he ended up saying that, hey man, ain't nothing wrong. Then I had to find out through somebody else that something was wrong. So, but I can't judge them. That's their own development that they have with God. But I'm learning and I'm coming to understanding of when we say this is a hospital, it's a hospital. Everybody in the nation is not necessarily perfect. We're all we're all striving to be upright to him who originated the heavens and the earth. We all have our journey. Everybody got something they going through behind the scenes. You never know what they're going through, even if they're a captain, even if they are a minister. So even though they are in the Nation of Islam, we are still lost in some areas. We're not maybe considered lost found because we register, but we're lost in some areas. So the same way we have to take plenty with those outside the nation, the same way we are patient with those outside the nation, we have to be that same way with those who are within.
Yeah, man. And that's it's interesting. I told you I've been listening to that Killer Mike album, Michael, and there's a line on there where he talks about us having grace for ourselves. Think about that. Like having grace for yourself. And that's one of the things, man, that we have to understand, my brother. Like, you know, as we mature into this is a journey. You know, we're going to have our ups and our downs. And there's certain lessons that you and I are going to learn that we may have been introduced to the principle of it in reading the Bible, reading the Quran, hearing the minister, hearing the messenger, hearing the lecture. But there's some stuff that we have to go through. And then when we go through it, we would have come out of it with an even greater understanding of that principle. So thank you for sharing that. You're learning a lot, my brother. You're only 8 years in, right? So that's a beautiful understanding. And my question I want to ask you, you mentioned rapping, right? And so in addition to what you're doing online, I also see it, as you talked about, you like to rap and play basketball. So is there any new music coming soon? And is that game between you and our brother, is that game going to take place anytime soon as well?
Man, as far as the music, I just make music whenever I'm inspired to. So if it may be me seeing Boosie going live and I'm hyped up by his live, I may say, man, let me go make me a song. It may be something that I'm going through and I just want to get something off my chest. I just go make it. So I'm not like technically a rapper to where I'm planning a tour, because I ain't never did videos, nor am I going to perform in person, because that's not really my personality. But whenever I just want to express myself, and I see that, maybe the youth need a particular message. And I know those who listen to my music, they may listen to my music versus maybe watching a podcast. So I'm kind of spontaneous with the music. I think I do got some stuff that I want to talk about that I'm getting over and going through behind the scenes. So I think a song will be brewing within the next couple months. And as far as that game with Gillie, he just got to accept the challenge. He keep going around me, making these videos. I know he he mentioning me and all this type of stuff. I mean, he's talking about me. He's not mentioning me, but I know he's talking about me, and people be tagging me on his pages. So he just got to accept the challenge, man. I hope he do, so we can go ahead and get it over with. Because I didn't start this, by the way. Every time I will post a basketball video, somebody from Philly, somebody will post Gillie, man, with Gillie, Gillie. So I finally said, all right, man, y'all gonna stop doing this. So I start going at him every time I post something, to tag Gillie in this and tell Gillie to play me in one-on-one. So I think it'd be cool, man. I honestly think, we should do something like that. One-on-ones, bring the community out, donate it to the community and all type of stuff, man. I think it'd be dope. It'd be unique. And I think this is another way for us to impact our community. Get them with something that they want. They want a basketball game, but inside that, we teach them about other stuff as well. So I think it'd be a dope experience. If he accept the challenge.
And I love, man, I haven't had the opportunity to meet Gillie and Wallow at this moment, but I love their relationship, brother. I love their story. I saw with Gillie, he gave a real message about, there was a shooting that took place in Philadelphia, and he was something like, I think a grandma was shot, and how he gave it and the way that he gives it, and just the relationship that he and his cousin have, man, is very genuine. And I love that, man. So hopefully, for the good of the community, you all get together. Gillie gonna say he gonna smoke you if y'all play. And from what I've been saying, he got some. He can play, and you can play too. So ain't no way we're gonna find out who's gonna do what until we actually have that game. So hopefully he sees this. A salute to Gillie and Wallow for the work that they're doing as well, man, here online. And now I want to transition to ask you this question, because we started this show and this whole series, as I said when I first opened, we were doing these I'd have a testimonies in person when guests will come to our city. And we recently did one with a guest that came to our city with our brother Kareem from Rialto, right? And that's on our YouTube page as well. But the purpose of these shows is to give people the opportunity to give their testimony, and people who have had these interactions with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to share these interactions so that the audience can see the beauty of this man, the heart of this man. Like, yo, we're not making it up. This man is actually like this, right? So if you had the opportunity to stand before the world and give a testimony of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, something that you've seen him do with somebody that may have shown his love, his charity, or something that he shared with you, you've experienced with him that's shown his love, his charity, or whatever it may be, what testimony would you give? Testimony or testimonies would you give, and why those?
Well, I had a opportunity to meet with the minister. Actually, it was that picture right there. We had dinner with him, and this is something I'm going to share about myself. I've heard in the nation the minister can read minds. I'm pretty sure some of y'all done heard that. Oh man, he can kind of tell what you're thinking. And I've never really experienced it on this level before. So we're eating, and where the minister was just sitting, that's where he was sitting. So the minister is kind of like at the top of the table. I'm to his right. And I'm, listen, I grew up, I don't know nothing about no eating from right to left or left to right. You eat with this spoon first, and this, I ain't never experienced that type of stuff. Okay. So I'm sitting at the table, and they trying to brief us as we're eating. Hey, start off with this, then your dessert gonna come, and you use this tool, this fork here, then you're gonna use this for your bean soup. So all my stuff was on the right hand side, my spoon, my bean soup. Now they put my bread on my left hand side. So in my mind, this the minister's bread, right? So I'm eating, I'm eating, and I'm eating, and a thought comes to my mind. I'm like, man, I sure want some bread. And so I'm kind of looking at the bread, I glanced at, I'm like, but in my mind, I'm saying to myself, man, I wonder if this is my bread or the minister's bread. And the minister taps me and said, I think that's yours, Brother Ben. I'm talking about, my goodness. And so I'm like, man, I'm blown away, because it's like he literally read my thought as I'm thinking about whose bread is it, because I don't want to just, eat the minister's bread. He reaches over and said, I think that's your bread, Brother Ben. And I just, I ate it. So, man, that was amazing. And in at that same dinner, there was a sister who shared afterwards. I think it was Sister Erica. I think she said it was her. She was wondering if the minister's teeth was real. And she said when she thought about it, the minister had gone to a story about his teeth being real. So those are some of the experiences that I have. I don't have any other ones that I think I can reveal. All of my encounters with the minister have been recorded, and I've published them, and y'all have seen those. But yeah, those two instances was amazing for me, because I'm talking about, it was like literally like he was like, I was having a conversation with him. As soon as I thought about the bread, he confirmed with me that was his bread. But other than that, man, his love, he's always striving to uplift others. He's always striving to teach people where God is in them. He's always trying to get them to see that God is not just in him, not just in Honorable Elijah Muhammad, not just appeared in the person of Master Father Muhammad, but he's always looking for the gift in us. And so to meet a man and he be honored to meet you, almost as honored as you is to meet him, is a humbling experience. It's kind of like, I can't explain it. Whenever I'm around him, my mind goes blank. I got questions that I want to ask, but my mind goes blank. So, and he's telling jokes the whole time. Like, it's like he's teaching, but he keeps you laughing the whole time that you're eating the dinner. Like we wasn't even eating. We were so tuned into him at the dinner table. It's like we didn't even eat, to where he had to tell us, man, you know, y'all can eat, you know. So I just love being around him, man. The energy. There was another time I think he read my mind. This was during COVID, and he had spoke on July 4th, and he actually took the picture with me and my son, and it was COVID, so I didn't want to hold his hand. Well, let me say this: 2 Chainz, and T.I. had just took a picture with him. I don't know if I'll just say it. 2 Chainz and T.I. had just took a picture with him, and he wasn't holding their hand. So when I came up to take the picture with him, I didn't, you know, like he wasn't, usually he had like embrace you, hold your hand. And I guess because of COVID, you know, they were spraying, wash your hand before you meet the minister, but he didn't hold their hand. So I got my son is in front of me, the minister to my left, I'm to my right. And so I got my hands down because I'm like, you know, it's COVID time, you know, I ain't touching the minister's hand. The minister grabs he said, give me your hand. and you know, we took the picture with our hands actually gripped. But I seen that other people who took the picture, he wasn't holding their hand. So that was another small experience for me. I don't know if it meant anything or anything, but I did notice that, you know, because I purposely was like, well, I ain't gonna hold his hand this time. And he was like, give me your hand. So yeah, those are just some experiences that I have, man. I always, whenever somebody is meeting him and they, you know, in order to meet him, he's always giving them game about their particular lane. He's always uplifting them in their particular area, and I think that's just a reminder that he's not playing when he says, "I look for the God in our people." We always hear, "Oh, Jesus look past our faults and looks at our needs." I actually see that in him. I've witnessed it. You know, he's not worried about anybody's sin, their flaws. He's not some priest asking them to come repent to him. He's always, man, I know who you are, you know, but I'm looking at the God within you, and I'm trying to bring that out, and that's what I see. And on Minister Louis Farrakhan.
And as we include these closing questions, you know, I was honored to be one of the presenters during your weekly power group call, which takes place Mondays through Fridays at 8 a.m. if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes,
right?
8 a.m.
Central Standard Time. Can you share with the audience who are watching, of course, the time of the call, how they can get involved in the call, the purpose of the call, and the benefits that have come from that actual call?
So the power call, if you guys are interested in that, all you have to do is text the word nation, or actually, I think I just bought a domain. You can go to thepowercall.net. So www.thepowercall.net. You have to do it on your cell phone though, and it's going to open up your text messages, and it's going to make you text the word nation to my number. It's going to respond with a Zoom link and a passcode. So this started from Ramadan. I have read through Ramadan, but as I told you guys, I'm not a big reader. So I'll read the Quran and then I kind of get off track. And if I miss too many, I'm just gonna be honest. If I miss too many days, I'm behind. Man, I done gave up. Man, I can't catch up all them days I done missed. And then I gotta see how long some of them chapters is. I mess up sometimes. And this Ramadan, a thought came to my mind a day before. I said, man, let's do it on Zoom together. And this has been the greatest Ramadan that I've ever had. I've read all of the Quran this time, almost for the first time, due to us doing it collectively as a whole. So the power call started off with each day of Ramadan, we're going to get up in the morning, read a part of the Quran together, and then we're going to dialogue about what we've read. So now not only am I reading the Quran, but we're striving to get understanding, and we're parsing what do we get from it as well, because I hate reading things and I don't understand. I hate reading things and there's no practical then what. So that's what came out. That's how my quote came about. It's not how many books you've read. It's about how many pages you've applied. So when I heard the dialogue and feedback from a brother who may have been in the teachers longer than me, or a brother who understand the Quran this way, when he give his feedback, I say, oh, I didn't think about it that way. I got it. Then somebody else, they give their feedback. Oh, I didn't get that. But man, I needed that part. And so it became valuable for me. And the obligation that so many people was depending on that call inspired me to get up on those days that many of us have when I don't want to get up in the morning to read. I want to sleep in. But the fact that I knew in my mind, boy, you got 100 some people all over the world that's now depending on this call to read the Quran. That's what gave me the energy to get up and do those calls at 6 a.m. or 5 o'clock, whenever we was doing it every single morning. And so as I seen the impact of this, people reading the Quran for the first time, people getting an understanding of Islam for the first time, people reading the Quran for themselves saying, whoa, somebody else was saying this. I understand it because I'm reading it with y'all. I've had believers say this is their best Ramadan because they was able to get through the whole Quran with us, each part, each day, because of this call. And so I said, man, we have to continue this beyond the Ramadan. And when I looked at this, you know, God is forcing power. I say, man, let's call this the power call, because this knowledge and this camaraderie that we have is giving us power to start our day off right. It's giving us power to go do something and make ourselves better every day. So I said, the same way we reading the Quran every day, let's read the book of the minister every day. Let's read the book of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad every day. And the minister has a quote. And if I can, I wish I knew I was going to go here. Let me see if I can put it out. I like to keep my stuff saved. I read books. The minister said, he said he got a lot of books. There's a lot of books out there. And he says, here it is right here, I think. Hold on. So here's a work. I like to see it completed because it is a great study. I'm telling you that I fed from those articles. I read nothing else. I'm not a book reader. Now, when I heard the minister say that, I said, wow, because I know, you know, what does the Quran say? The first thing it says, Iqra, read. And, you know, some of us may feel guilty. Man, I don't like to read, but the Quran say read. So we may not put out there that, hey, man, I don't like to read. So I was, you know, I like to be a little transparent sometimes. So I used to always say I'm not a big reader. I learned from watching the lectures. And I know, you know, it does more for the brain to read. I've heard all of that. But when I heard the minister say this, I said, whoa. He says, I'm not a book reader per se. I'm an Elijah Muhammad student. That's the God's truth. He says, you can't give me. I got books everywhere now. Ask me how many of them I read. But my father, I read him. And where he guides me, that's where I go. You see, it looks like I read all the books, but in reality, he's the book that I read. So I said, man, with this power call, let's listen to the clip of the minister. Let's listen to a clip of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and then we dialogue about it similar to study group. Because before we started our Quran reading, every part of the Quran, I would have the minister playing before we start reading. So for those who came on a little bit early, they hearing the minister. I got a random lecture on every morning. So they hearing the minister, then we going into the call. I mean, to the reading. So I just started playing lectures. So we have been able to get through several lectures together as a people. And afterwards, I always ask them to, now you share what you got from the minister. Because I know based on what we are going through in life, when we're reading something, I'm going to see something different than this brother here going to see. Because I'm going through something different. I'm going to feel something and notice something different than this sister, or she going to notice something different from me based on what she going through. So we've had people be transparent about, you know, child abuse. We had people say they stopped smoking. We had people that done joined the moms. We had people that done said, man, I'm understanding the minister now. We done have people that's inviting people all over the world. People from Italy done been on, Africa done been on. So we're reaching people all over the world. And all we simply do is watch the minister or read something from the minister. And then we all give our dialogues. People have got free message to the black man sent to them. Free how to eat to lives done been sent to them. Free Qurans done been sent to them. Many connections have now been made. So it's been very powerful. I'm going to post the testimonials on my story on Instagram. It's so many of them that I had sent yesterday so that we can give a report to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan so he can see the work that's being done via social media. So that call is every Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Central Time. And we encourage everybody to just come on and listen and share your feedback and watch the people grow. I mean, people have been growing just off of people's testimony. We literally had a brother, like I said, that said he stopped smoking the other day. 2 people that said they stopped smoking. And one of the brothers that stopped smoking just joined the mosque last Sunday.
Praise be to Allah. And the benefit, you know, and first we'll get ready to close on this. And our first, thank you again, brother, for giving us your time and sharing with us what you were sharing and all of the work that you are doing that's impacting those in your city and even outside of your city. And it makes me think about what you're doing. I heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan say about the work of resurrection. He said the work of resurrection is about the elevation of our people's consciousness. And if our people's consciousness elevates, their actions are gonna change, right? Their actions are gonna elevate. And that's the thing, you know, like some people may not come to the mosque, but they're already a part of the nation. But can you leave can you draw from the teachings of the Most High Elijah Muhammad and allow it to raise your level of consciousness? So thank you, my brother, and may Allah continue to bless you. And for those who are on, may you tune into our brother doing that the weekly call. And thank you all for tuning in to I Have a Testimony. This is the first time that we are having it here at Closing the Gap broadcast. So we appreciate them for giving us the opportunity to have it here. And, you know, we encourage each and every one of you all to continue to tune in, continue to subscribe, continue to share, and leave comments and support this particular network that is taking place. So we thank you all. We thank our brother Ben for his time. And we look forward we have some major interviews coming up, inshallah. Thank you, and may Allah continue to bless each and every one of you. This is your brother signing off from I Have a Testimony on the Closing the Gap broadcast network. Peace.
God came to us to seek and to save that which was lost. He raised a man from among us.
He, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, laid the foundation. What I'm doing is something that comes from him through me, and the thing that he uses in me to do the work is my faith in him and the word that he taught. To produce men and women who wanted to clean up their life and build an independent nation for the glory of God.